Y'all, he really tried to blame his alter ego for kidnapping and taking the life of a 7-year-old little girl. You heard that correctly. Tanner Horner said, I didn't do it. My alter ego, Zero, did it. Y'all see it right here. The man is evil as hell. He said, it says Horner blames his alter ego for Athena's murder, asked for a deal to see his son at Christmas. This dude literally sat inside an interrogation room and said, I'm not going to be able to see my kids anymore. I'm not going to get the chance to see my son grow up, when he's literally on trial for murder. He's under arrest for murder and SA and kidnapping. This man has for a 7-year-old, and this man had the audacity to say, "Oh, I'm not gonna be able to see my son anymore for Christmas." What? What? And the reason I say that is because to show y'all that narcissistic people, toxic people that have this kind of twisted ass mentality are still only thinking about themselves in circumstances like this. They're literally only thinking about themselves. He said it. The man opened his mouth and said it. He said in an interrogation, I'm not going to be able to see my kids during Christmas. I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm not going to be able to do that. And it wasn't even me that did it, right? It wasn't me that took her life. It was my alter ego, Zero. Zero. What kind of, that's insane. That just shows you the mindset and the mentality of evil ass people. Knows no bounds. It really doesn't. And y'all see it right here. It says jurors on Thursday, watch interview footage in which Tanner Horner told investigators he did not kill 7-year-old Athena Strand, but his alter ego Zero did. This dude literally is out here pretending that he has an alter ego, that he has a split personality, thinking that it's going to get him an insanity plea. That's all it is. This man thinks that he's going to get an insanity plea by just trying to fake like he has a personality disorder. Now, is something going on? Is something wrong with him? Yes, it absolutely is. But does he have a split personality? No. This man don't have, like, listen to one of the lead detectives say he had to play the game with Tanner Horner to get him to admit to something. He had to fake like he believed the personality disorder.
Played his game, and I spoke to Zero.
The lead investigator for the Texas Rangers on this case testified Horner had a second personality named Zero. The sergeant says when he addressed the alter ego directly, more details would be revealed. Zero told them where her body was. Footage of the search shown to the jury.
Zero, tell me where she's at. His physical demeanor changes. His head goes into a sideways motion. His eyes roll into the back of the head, and he pretends to turn into Zero.
Pretend. Listen to this right here.
Horner eventually took Rangers to a section of the Trinity River. Athena's body.
And found her body out there in the bushes after he had assaulted her and things like that. And he tried to say that it wasn't him. It was Zero that did it. He would never do anything like that. He has a son. He has kids himself. Why would he do that to somebody else's child? I'm not an expert on personality disorders, right? I'm not an expert, but I know a little bit about personality disorders, seeing the fact that I have narcissistic personality disorder, right? But that's not how it works. From the people I know that have dissociative identity disorder, that's not how it works. You don't just flip in and out of an alter. They call them alters, right? They said it's an alter. And most people that I've talked to that have DID, dissociative identity disorder, they can't flip it on and off like that, right? They can't just say, Zero, I'm here. This is Zero. I'm not Tanner anymore. That's evil, man. And not only did they say something about he tried to fake the funk about having a DID, they tried to say he had autism. Y'all, you can't blame your mental health if you're not trying to get help for your mental health. Like, people always just like, I just never got any help. My mom was a drunkard. She didn't do anything, right? The people I know that have DID don't switch in and out. Do they know the names of some of their alters? Yes. Do they remember certain things? Like, if I could find that video, you have to look it up, y'all, because there's so many videos out there. There's a video out there where he's like, after they find the body, they take him back to the van, right? And there's like, Zero, why did you do it? And then he's like, huh? What happened? Where are we? And then the detective's like, are you not Zero anymore with this Tanner? He's like, yeah, I'm Tanner. What happened? Where are we doing? Why we are here in the woods? I can't. What's going on here? Right? clearly faking having a personality disorder or having something that just, you see what I'm saying? Faking that something is actually wrong with you so that you can pretend, so you can think you can get off of it. He's trying to, people like this, he's just trying to get out of trouble, right? He knows he's done something wrong, but in order to try to obfuscate or get away from it, he's trying to just fake the funk about doing this type of stuff right here, right? He's trying to fake it. He's trying to nothing. I didn't know. It wasn't me. It was zero. Even right here, you can see it. Day 3, testimony details Tanner Horner's mental health claims, attempts to cut a deal in Athena Strand. Testimony put on footage pulls back the curtain on key evidence. Jurors hear new details of how they found him. There's a high level of detail built in this case. They did geo-referencing, but then they referenced his home and his personal life, right? When investigators pressed Horner on motive, he said the stress was getting too much, and he insisted he's not a bad person who has done the right thing his whole life, describing Athena as being in the wrong place at the wrong time. So he's blaming this baby for her own death. He's blaming the baby for being in the wrong place at the wrong time because the child had got into an argument or a fight with the stepmom, and that's what ended up leading to this happening. In these situations, it's almost always somebody else's fault. Like, testimony also highlighted Horner's shifting behavior at times, discussing his family, but when he pressed about his action, he deflected blame onto Zero and avoided accountability. So isn't it convenient when you claim you have a mental illness or something like that? Isn't it convenient that you can just invoke it when you do something wrong? Right? Isn't it convenient? To me, that seems like a convenience, right? It's just like, I didn't do anything wrong. According to court testimony, Horner repeatedly separated himself from the crime, saying, I didn't do this, but he did, referring to Zero. Like, they're going to somehow perform some type of surgery to separate this man from his personality, right? Okay, we're just going to lock Zero up. When asked if he had told investigators everything during the interview, Horner responded, it's not Zero, it's Tanner, but continued describing the situation as if he were in the backseat watching it happen. At pattern investigators point to as Horner distanced himself and deflecting responsibility, just like a narcissistic psychopath would, right? Somebody that would do this to a child is a narcissistic psychopath. Like, testimony also revealed that Horner attempted self-harm in jail and tried to hang himself while in custody. At one point, Horner asked investigators to shoot him and referenced self-harm. Like, it also says 2023, he attempted suicide while he was in jail, blah, blah, blah. Attempts to cut a deal. He tried to cut a deal. He's like, I'll tell you where her body is at if you let me go see my kids for Christmas. Like what? You're going to jail. Like, in situations like this, I fully expect them to hold somebody accountable and keep doing what they need to do, because otherwise they won't learn their lessons. Yo, you don't let him go home and cut a deal. Then if you let him go home for Christmas, he's probably going to take himself out so he doesn't have to face accountability, right? Anyways, y'all, hit that subscribe button. What do y'all think? Be safe. Peace.